everyone, today I am in Fort Harrison State Park, and I'm not officially in the park, but I'm certainly right here near it. The entrance is actually just up ahead, this little path that I'm on right now. And I'm gonna talk about why I would move to Indianapolis. Now, of course, I already live in this area, but let's say I had to do it again. Knowing what I know now, this is really a big reason why I would still move here. So I'm gonna talk about that. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Indianapolis or any of the cities and towns that surround Indianapolis, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. Now, we have people reach out to us from all over the country with questions about Indianapolis and, of course, what it's like to live there, what's going to be the best fit for them. Maybe it is in Indianapolis. Maybe it's one of the cities and towns that surround Indianapolis right on the outskirts. So if you have questions at all about Indianapolis or any of those cities and towns, what might be the best fit for you, and make sure you reach out any way that you know how. We'll always have your back with those questions, and we'll certainly have your back when it comes time for you to make your move to the Indy Metro. All right, guys, again, I'm in Fort Harrison State Park, and it is a super, super cool state park. So it's not an Indianapolis City Park. In fact, where I'm standing right now isn't even an Indianapolis address. It's Lawrence, Indiana. And that's a little unique because Indianapolis is in Marion County, and for the most part, Marion County is made up of all Indianapolis addresses, but there's some exceptions, like Speedway, Indiana, which is just plunked right there in the middle of the city where the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is. Speedway is a totally different place, at least a different address. If you're there, it may not seem so different, of course, and you'll see signs going from Indianapolis to Speedway or vice versa, and it's the same with Lawrence. Now, Lawrence, though, this part is really, even though it is the city of Lawrence, it's part of Indianapolis. It's so close, so they're just gelled together. And there are a lot of people that move to Indianapolis, of course, and are not from here. There are people that are from the area, like myself. I'm from southern Indiana, a city called Evansville, Indiana, originally, but I've lived now in Indianapolis longer than any city in my entire life. And especially knowing what I know now about Indianapolis, I would absolutely move here again. Now, there are some obvious things that most people know about Indianapolis. Maybe some of them aren't completely obvious, but having grown up in the Midwest in southern Indiana, as an example of maybe one of the obvious things, is that I'm used to the weather. So I actually like a harsh winter. I like a little bit of snow. I like some cold, and I like shorter days. You know, the winter for me and our family, it's a time where we can feel like we're slowing down a little bit, and it feels like we're, I don't know, it's hard to explain other than during the summer, it feels busier. We're outside a lot, and in the spring and fall as well. And in the winter, we get a chance to come inside, we get to slow down a little bit. It's a completely different feel. If you've lived in any state, southern state, and you've never really experienced a harsh winter, it's something that you really have to experience to figure out what I mean. So I like that. And of course, I like a hot summer. But I get sick and tired of the hot summer, and I get sick and tired of the cold winter. So I'm always having a change that I really enjoy. So throughout the entire year, as soon as I'm getting tired of a season, the next one comes in. Now, is Indianapolis the only place where something like that happens? Absolutely not. There are hundreds of other cities, thousands really, you could say, across the Midwest, across the country, big and small. Indianapolis would be bigger, but I'm counting small towns and cities as well that would experience something like that. So it's not the only place for sure, but those are more of the obvious things. And another obvious thing is that Indianapolis is a pretty big city. So over 900,000 people in Indianapolis proper. And if you count the entire Indy Metro, it's varies on the stats, but a couple million people or so. That's all the cities and towns that surround Indianapolis and Indianapolis itself, couple million people. So it's not small, but it's also not the biggest out there either. It's not the smallest, of course, a lot of people for sure. So with a bigger city, we get bigger things. We have some professional sports teams. We have college sports teams and big colleges in the state that a lot of times will compete in Indianapolis. We've got national organizations like the NCAA is stationed right here. We've got phenomenal museums. We've got one of the best children's museums in the entire world in Indianapolis. A fantastic zoo. We've got the Indianapolis 500. So a monstrous world event right here. We've got a great music scene, plenty of huge music venues, and we've got a plethora, just an enormous number of small music venues. So you can see an up-and-comer or somebody that just plays small venues or a local artist, something like like that. We've got a really nice art scene with that. We've got a great food scene. It's better than what people think. It's been up and coming for some years, and it's actually quite good. So if you're a foodie, you won't be disappointed in Indianapolis. So those are maybe some of the things that are less obvious too, but truly, what I think I like most about Indianapolis, and I don't think that this would be something that is absolutely unique to Indy, but Indy certainly has it. Indy has a balance. So me, I'm from a small city, but I truly think that I'm kind of a city boy at heart. I like the city. I like things being close to me. I like living near people. I just like all of that. Now, there could be too much, for sure. You know, my wife and I will go to New York occasionally, just because we like the city. Spend a weekend there or a couple of days there. It's kind of difficult to do now with young kids, but we certainly used to do that a little bit more often in the past. It'd be one of our kind of weekend getaway type of things, and we loved it. We absolutely love it. But after just a little time, we think, I'm not sure I really want to be here anymore. I want to go back home, because Indianapolis has that home feel to us. So what's cool about Indianapolis and cities like Indianapolis is that you can get a mix. Now, me personally, in a different station in life without young kids, I could live downtown Indianapolis, no problem. I could live in a place like Mass Ave, right along Mass Ave, super happening, very urban. You can walk to so much. You could walk right to downtown proper Indianapolis. I could absolutely live in a place like that. That would be very, very city. I could also live in a neighborhood like the Old North Side or Heron Morton, a very residential but very urban type neighborhood. Absolutely see doing that and would love to do that at some point in time. So I do have that city. But we don't live there. We, in fact, don't even have an Indianapolis address. We have a Greenfield address currently. And when we first moved to Greenfield several years ago, lived in Fishers for a long time. So Fishers is a fantastic city. It's a suburb that definitely has a lot going on, but it is a suburb of Indianapolis. Greenfield as well. It's about 25,000 people or so. Little city right outside of Indianapolis. And the place that we live is a little bit more rural. So I like it more than I thought I would. Really being a city boy at heart. More than I thought. So what I've kind of come to gather over the past several years and even leading up to that is that Indianapolis has a nice mix. It's just enough big city to have all of the big city things, yet it's still small enough to be able to escape some of that big city. So if you lived in Los Angeles, it's really been to Los Angeles multiple times, it's really hard to escape Los Angeles. You have to get so far out that are you really in Los Angeles anymore? I mean, of course, your address would change. But here, if you lived in where we did before, in Fishers, Indiana, or if you lived in Carmel, Indiana, or Greenwood, Indiana on the south side, or a place like Plainfield on the southwest side, you might have a Plainfield address. It's the thing that you write on the envelope, but Indianapolis is right there. It's right next to you. And almost anywhere you live in the metro, if you wanted to go to the Children's Museum, it's not an hour drive. It's 30-minute drive, 40-minute drive, 45-minute drive maybe from some of the outskirts of those cities and towns that surround Indianapolis. So Indy is not completely unique in this. I know this. But Indianapolis is absolutely a Midwestern city that does have this unique mix. Now, this is a subjective thing. You can't look this up, not that anybody does this anymore, in an encyclopedia and get a definition of what the perfect mix might be. But if you take a place like where we live, which is just not quite suburbia, a little rural, but we can be in downtown Indianapolis in less than 30 minutes from where we live, which is insane. We can jump right on I-70, head west, and be right there, which we do occasionally. We'll go to a Colts game or two each year. We'll definitely go downtown for dinner just at a restaurant that we want to hit. We've gone to the Children's Museum multiple times. Actually, many times. Got a membership there. The zoo, we've gone there so many times as well. It's just not a long drive at all. So to me, that's a reason I would absolutely consider moving back to Indianapolis. Now, some of the other things, the more obvious things, I still really like those, like the weather, the big city things that you get when the city is large enough. I love all of that stuff. But that mix that's hard to put your finger on, doesn't have a true definition, and absolutely not all cities have, because the city's either too big or the city's too small. Indianapolis is somewhere in that Goldilocks zone of seemingly just right. Now, is Indianapolis right for everybody? No, absolutely not. There are a lot of people that probably live in Indianapolis and hate it. But I would say a lot of people that do live in Indianapolis, they really like it. And some people really love it. Or they have one of those addresses surrounding Indianapolis and they can feel and they can see that mix. So if you have questions about whether that mix might be right for you or not, then reach out any ways you know how. And until the next one, we'll see you. see you later.